Banzai. This photo captures the crew of the Japanese aircraft carrier Zuikaku cheering before sinking in the Battle of Cape Engano. The Japanese were attempting to defend the coast of Leyte from Allied landings. They were no match for the U.S. Third Fleet. The majority of aircraft surviving the conflict could not return to the carrier and instead landed in Luzon. There were multiple kamikaze strikes. On October 24, 1944, a heavy U.S. air attack hit the ship with 7 torpedoes and 9 bombs during the Battle of Cape Engano. Admiral Jisaburo Ozawa gave orders to lower the flag and abandon ship. The Zuikaku rolled over and sank stern first. Because the warship bore the imperial insignia, it was considered a divine representation of the emperor according to state Shinto law. The Banzai battle cry from the doomed crew is a shortened form of Tenoheka Banzai, meaning Long Live His Majesty the Emperor. 862 sailors and officers were rescued from the sinking by destroyers Wakatsuki and Kua. The Zuikaku carrier was the last Japanese fleet carrier standing to have partaken in the attack on Pearl Harbor. Its sinking represented a major American victory. I have no regrets. Pictured holding a puppy, 17-year-old Japanese Corporal Yukio Araki was only a day away from conducting a kamikaze attack. He was an aviator for the Imperial Japanese Army. On May 27, 1945, the young pilot flew from Bansei Air Base with the 72nd Shinbu Corps to attack an American naval group in the Battle of Okinawa. He detected the USS Brain, a mighty Fletcher-class destroyer. Araki is believed to have crashed his plane into the USS Brain, crippling the destroyer for the remainder of the war and causing a major blow to the Allied operation. Despite Araki's effort, the Allies won the Battle of Okinawa, and the USS Brain was later repaired and played a role in other conflicts. Prior to leaving on this last deployment, Araki left letters for his family at his home with instructions that they remain sealed unless he did not return from the mission. One of these contained a strong-willed message, quote, "Please find pleasure in your desire for my loyalty to the Emperor and devotion to my parents. I have no regrets. I just go forward on my path." In tune with kamikaze tradition, Araki sent his parents a lock of his hair and clipped fingernails so that these remains could be honorably buried at Kiryu. The Jolly Rogers. Photographed wearing skull masks and posing to symbolize crossbones, the Jolly Rogers were about to embark on an undated mission. The nickname for the 90th Bombardment Group came from the adoption of the Jolly Roger symbol, skull and crossbones, commonly found on pirate ships for their unofficial emblem. This insignia was designed by Sergeant Leonard Baer, who first produced it in an aluminum stencil. The 4 squadrons of the group then adopted different background colors. It was a unit first created for World War II as part of the 5th Air Force for the U.S. Air Force to fight in the Southwest Pacific using consolidated B-24 Liberator heavy bombers. The group was based off of Iron Range Airport in Queensland, Australia. They went on missions to destroy installations, ships, and attack enemies throughout Palau, the Philippines, the Bismarck Archipelago, and New Guinea. After the surrender of Imperial Japan, the 90th Bombardment Group did reconnaissance missions over the country and helped move prisoners of war captured by the Japanese from Okinawa to Manila. They were awarded the Philippine Presidential Unit Citation and the United States Distinguished Unit Citation twice, before being deactivated in 1946. Riding mini-tank bombers. World War II pushed the limits of military innovation. One of the most peculiar inventions was the German Goliath tracked mine, or Goliath demolition vehicle. In the footage shown here, American soldiers demonstrate a pair of tanks captured in Italy and France. The soldiers fondly refer to the vehicles as doodlebugs, and even turned them on to take a joyful ride aboard a dangerous enemy machine. These were remote control vehicles packed with explosives, between 50 and 100 pounds of TNT, and powered by electric motors, or later on tiny gasoline engines. These mini tanks traveled at a slow pace of around 6 miles per hour, and despite their small, relatively inconspicuous size, their lack of defensive structures made them easy to eliminate for German enemies. Furthermore, they represented an investment that would, in the best of scenarios, end with the destruction of the device. While a larger version of the device could launch its explosives without self-destruction, the remote-controlled mini-tanks were considered a failure and were discontinued. Only about 7,000 were produced and used, with around 30 surviving in military museums. shell-shocked soldier. September 1916. The Somme offensive was raging with the French and British fighting the Germans. A total of 3 million soldiers were involved. This photo captures one of them as he smiles inside a trench for the Battle of Fleur-Courcelette. The battle marked the first time in history that tanks were placed in the field, adding a major form of weaponry to the conflict. During the First World War, soldiers often broke down as the enemy that took down those around them stood miles away, hidden behind machinery. The trenches themselves were muddy, dark, packed with belongings and bodies. Many soldiers exhibited symptoms of PTSD and other signs of psychological distress. Among soldiers, the term shell shock was coined to describe those that entered into psychological impairment through confusion, nightmares, tremors, paralysis, and even derealization. For many, detachment from reality became a coping mechanism. Many deserted. The stare and contorted smile of this anonymous soldier have commonly been attributed to symptoms of such distress. Georgia blind. October 1944. This photo shows Georges Blind, a member of the French resistance during World War II, smiling in a German execution squad. He would work at night, assisting paramedics and firefighters in the Alsace region. It is possible that Blind was smiling because he knew this particular scene for his arrest was being staged as part of an interrogation. Blind was instead transported to Dachau and then to the Blechhammer concentration camp. The Germans would continue to orchestrate fake executions for him, trying to extract information, but Blind was unrelenting in his secrecy. Under Nazi occupation, an estimated 30,000 French civilian hostages were targeted to intimidate the resistance and quash rebellion. Georges Blind continued to the French resistance and was posthumously decorated with several medals. He passed away in Blechhammer, with the date and details unknown. The mock executions against him were never actually carried out.